Massachusetts recently rolled out a new solar incentive program known as SMART, designed to support another 1,600 megawatts of photovoltaic capacity across the state. What's the major difference from the previous Solar Renewable Energy Credits, or SREC program? Well, here's what Bill Stillinger, co-owner of PV Squared Solar, had to say.
There are two principal differences. The SREC program, which is now defunct as of November 26th, paid the residential homeowner for his or her solar system with payments that stretched out over 10 years, but the value of those payments was determined by market conditions. So at the time that the solar installation went in, the owner did not know exactly how much incentive was going to come their way. With the new SMART program, you have certainty as to those 10 years of payments for residential systems.
Right, and one of the things that the head of the DOER, looking at the program, Judith Judson, told Mass Live is that that's one of the primary driving reasons the state shifted this program, which was very popular on the residential end. They had two phases of it. The state didn't like the fact that it was so variable.
Well, that's true. That's what Commissioner Judson has said. But the SREC program, gosh, it lasted 8 or 9 years and ran very well. I think a lot of the updates are now trying to take a better recognition of what the market realities are in the Commonwealth.
Yeah. And in terms of what this means, the flat fee tariff that people will now get under the SMART program, do you have any sense of dollars and cents on average what that will mean for a residential customer?
Well, I would much prefer to remain simple as possible, and to say that the payments are administered under a rather complicated system of differences between the energy savings that the homeowner realizes and the incentive payment itself. So it
depends also, as I understand it, on the size of the project at hand. So there's lots of variables.
Yes, and there's different categories of projects that residential people can take advantage of.
Yeah. In terms of some other incentives that this program offers, it has what are called adders for the solar community. It also has integrated battery storage and incentives for building on brownfields or landfills, some of those larger developments. Do you think that we'll see more landfill, brownfield sites because of the incentive attached to it?
Well, one hopes so. I think that the new direction that I have heard the Department of Energy Resources wants to take in the future is to even put greater emphasis on landfills and brownfield sites. And I would also comment that there's a tremendous disincentive or subtractor rather than an adder for solar developers trying to build a solar facility on open land or forest land, green fields, so to speak.
So keeping farming land, for instance, and then using that other property that would probably have no alternative use were it not for solar.
That's correct.
Yeah. So for you, you're the former president of the Solar Energy Business Association of New England, long name there. Yeah. How do you think that this change has been received by the business community?
Well, it's interesting because there's so many dynamics going on. Before answering the question directly, let me say that the business climate has changed a great deal. You know about federal tariffs against solar modules and steel and aluminum, that the costs, nevertheless, despite the tariffs, in general are going down for solar equipment. And within that context, we also see the state reducing its compensation for solar, so-called incentives. I'd rather call it compensation for the solar generation that you make. So with all of that, the business community has been very welcoming and supportive and has spent, gosh, the SMART program was over almost 3 years in development with public comment, and we've been very active trying to influence how that all comes out. So far, so good. It's been a month.
Yeah, right. Less than a month since it's rolled out. And to that point, when the regulations were finally released for overall this program, about 15 months went on before it was released and before we saw it open up. Do you think that that put the program at a disadvantage or people at a disadvantage that it took so long to get here?
The quick answer is yes.
In what way?
Because there was a lot of projects just went on immediate hold waiting for the rollout of the new SMART program. I must admit to you, the original date for the SMART rollout was going to be January 1st of 2018. We've passed that time. And it came out in November. And when the implementation finally happened on November 26th, over 635 megawatts of projects immediately filed for so-called certificates of acceptance. And we're now sifting through all of that to try to understand all of that pent-up demand that's now being met. If I can amplify on that a little bit, I would like to say that solar energy is like inevitable. It's coming our way. All of the bad news about climate change is real. And I think that solar energy particularly is one option that ordinary people can take advantage of and do something about, as opposed to trying to influence federal and state lawmakers to do something about climate change. Here's something that is within our grasp to actually be active about. That's why I'm in this business and why I love it so much. So the real answer is that business is very, very happy to be doing solar energy, clean energy generally, and we hope it continues and we get to 100% renewable energy.
The company that you own, PV Squared Solar, you're co-owner of, you're obviously working with residential customers all the time who want to put these on their garages or whatever in their yard. Mm-hmm. Do you think that the SMART program is more or less helpful in getting these projects to the market?
I think that remains to be seen. One aspect of the SMART program is that our friends at the utility companies, the so-called electric distribution companies, take a much more active role in determining how the program operates. Because it is now a fixed stream of payments, this is under really a tariff of the utility companies that provide these payments. And while I really like the utility industry a lot, it has presented some difficulties down in the details about interconnection with the grid and other aspects. So we need to pay attention about operating smoothly with the utility companies, and we've tried to do that. My own company has been doing that for over 15 years.
One sort of 35,000-foot question for you here. The state has said that really Massachusetts is leading the country when it comes to these types of policy programs that are incentivizing solar. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's true?
I think it's partly true. California is my idea of the leader, and North Carolina is right up there as well. But Massachusetts can hold its head high. It's really done a great job of providing solar, putting solar in the hands of the people, if you will.